Hi, this is Brad Linder with Liliputing, and this is the GPD Win 2, which is a handheld gaming PC that can handle all sorts of games that require touchscreen input, keyboard and mouse input, or gamepad input, including some newer titles. I played StarCraft 2 using a mouse because it's a little bit hard to use the built-in one. I played Batman Arkham City, no problem. But some older titles can be a little bit quirkier, which I'm going to show you here. This is Beyond Good and Evil, which is a game that came out in 2003 originally. And the PC port, using the default settings, gets pretty low frame rates. Right now we're watching just sort of the intro cutscene, and it seems okay, 53 frames per second, 54, 55. But watch what happens after it starts to pick up a little bit. So by here we're down to 22 frames per second. And it gets even lower at times, making it almost feel more like you're looking at a picture slideshow than an actual game. And this is just rendering the opening scene. Actual gameplay can be difficult when you've got such low frame rates. So the hardware is more than capable of handling this sort of game. It just doesn't necessarily look very good out of the box. Now, as it turns out, there's a solution for that, though. So we're at 6 frames per second. I'm not even going to bother going through all of this to get to the gameplay. Let me just tell you, it is kind of difficult to play at this sort of frame rate. Let's go ahead and exit that. And open the settings. And if we go to advanced settings here, you'll notice that auto detect disables a couple of features that you actually want on. HW vertex processing, multi-vertex stream, and I'm not quite sure if we need that last one, but we'll go ahead and do it too. I'm going to hit save and hit play again, and you'll see the difference. And if you remember correctly, at this point we were already down into the 20s or so in terms of frame rate. Now we're hovering closer to 60. And at this point, it was going below 20 all the way down to as low as 5 or 6 frames per second. Now you can see the video playback is very smooth. This is a 1280 by 720 pixel display. It's not quite filling full screen, but overall it looks pretty nice. Although my video is having a couple of sort of issues there. That has more to do with my camera than the screen, though. Quality looks pretty nice. So we're getting much better frame rates at this point. And I'm just going to exit that one more time. Show you that overall the CPU hasn't overheated or anything, although we haven't been playing very long. And let's load a saved game and try and get a little bit of gameplay going for you. Alright, so now you can see we've got 60 frames per second going. Camera works nicely. And we can explore, run around, do all the things that you need to do. Get the camera working. I'm still getting used to the controls in this game. I've only sort of played through the beginning. And also, I'm just not really that great at this sort of game. Alright, there's the camera. Oop, too far away.
So, doctor, diagnosis? Identified, dated, filed.
So, at this point, the game is pretty playable, and something I might want to spend a little bit more time doing, although I'm not a serious gamer. It seems like a lot of fun, but I've got a whole bunch of other games that I want to try as well, so we'll see how far into any of them I get. As I mentioned, I started Batman Arkham City this morning as well, and that also seems like a fun game. And we're at about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Just for kicks, let me see if I can do this one more time. Go into settings, switch to the auto detect settings, click play, and I'll show you how much more painful it is to do that with fewer frames per second. I did find that the opening sequence was much worse than the later sequence, but you'll see, again, we were running at close to 30 frames per second there. This time it's going to be much, much lower. So we're in the 20s now. It's playable, but when you get to the point where you need to do fights and other things, that lower frame rate can make it a lot more difficult. And it's definitely a little bit more sort of stilted.
So, doctor, diagnosis?
So I guess the moral of this story, if there is one, is that if you're going to try various games using the GPD Win 2, or lots of different gaming systems, I suppose, you might need to tweak the settings a little bit in order to make it playable. Once you do, a lot of games that you might not think that you can necessarily play on a computer with a Core M3 Kaby Lake processor, they can play surprisingly well. So this is an older title, but the same might be true for some newer titles. It doesn't necessarily always mean reducing the graphics quality in other settings. It might just mean making sure that you're taking advantage of hardware acceleration and those sorts of features. So this is Brad Linder with Liliputing, and I guess that was a quick look at Beyond Good and Evil running on the GPD Win 2. It wasn't a serious gameplay video, but it did give you a little bit of an idea of the difference between running it when it's optimized for the hardware and running it when it's not. Most of the videos that I've seen of the GPD Win 2 running various games are showing what it looks like when it's running without any tweaks. I don't know if you would call that a tweak, but it does require sort of digging around in the settings to make sure that the game plays properly. So there you go. Stay tuned to this YouTube channel and check out Liliputing.com for more details about the GPD Win 2 and how it works for gaming and non-gaming, among other things. This is Brad Linder with Liliputing.